Imagine an empire so vast it stretched from the Pacific Ocean to the heart of Europe, an empire forged in the harsh steppes of Central Asia that in less than a century rewrote the map of the world. This is the story of the Mongol Empire, the largest contiguous land empire in human history, a saga of conquest, innovation, and enduring legacy. Our story begins not with an emperor, but with a boy named Temujin, born into a world of constant tribal warfare on the unforgiving Mongolian plains. His early life was a brutal lesson in survival. His father was poisoned, his family was abandoned by their clan, and he was captured and enslaved by a rival tribe. Yet these hardships didn't break him. They forged him into a leader of unparalleled will and vision. Through sheer charisma, strategic alliances, and ruthless determination, Temujin began a quest that seemed impossible: to unite the scattered, warring, nomadic tribes of Mongolia under a single banner. One by one, he brought rivals to heel, either through diplomacy or by the sword. By 1206, he had accomplished his goal. At a great assembly, a Kurultai, the unified tribes proclaimed him Genghis Khan, the universal ruler. The Mongols were now one nation, and the world was about to feel their power. The Mongol military was unlike anything the world had ever seen. At its heart was the Mongol warrior, a master horseman who could ride for days, sleep in the saddle, and shoot arrows with deadly accuracy while at full gallop. Their composite bows were powerful enough to pierce armor from a distance, and their cavalry tactics were a symphony of speed and precision. Genghis Khan organized his army based on a decimal system: units of 10, 100, 1,000, and 10,000. This structure broke down old tribal loyalties and fostered a new sense of discipline and unity based on merit, not birth. But their greatest weapon was often fear. The Mongols perfected psychological warfare. They would offer cities a choice: surrender and be spared, or resist and face total annihilation. Stories of their brutality, often exaggerated by the Mongols themselves, spread like wildfire, causing many enemies to surrender without a fight. Under Genghis Khan, the Mongol war machine thundered out of the steppes. They swept through northern China, razing cities and toppling the Jin dynasty. They turned west, conquering the vast Khwarezmian Empire in Central Asia in a campaign of breathtaking speed and devastation. By the time of Genghis Khan's death in 1227, his empire stretched from the Caspian Sea to the Sea of Japan. He had laid the foundation, but the conquests were far from over. The empire did not die with its founder. Genghis Khan's sons and grandsons continued his relentless expansion. His third son Ogedei was elected the next great Khan and established a formal capital at Karakorum. Under his command, Mongol armies pushed deeper into Russia, destroying Kiev and Rus and riding all the way to the gates of Vienna. They stormed through the Middle East, sacking the legendary city of Baghdad in 1258, a cataclysmic event that ended the Islamic Golden Age. The empire reached its zenith under Genghis Khan's grandson, Kublai Khan. While his brothers fought for control in the west, Kublai focused his ambition on the wealthiest and most populous prize of all, China. After decades of war, he finally conquered the southern Song dynasty in 1279, establishing his own dynasty, the Yuan. He moved his capital to what is now Beijing, ruling not as a nomadic chieftain, but as a Chinese emperor. Kublai Khan's court, a magnificent blend of Mongol and Chinese culture, fascinated travelers like Marco Polo, whose writings would introduce a mesmerized Europe to the wonders of the East. Under Kublai, the empire was a hub of international exchange, a period known as the Pax Mongolica, or Mongol Peace. This unprecedented peace and stability across Eurasia had a profound impact. For the first time, a single power controlled the ancient Silk Road. Merchants and missionaries could travel safely from Europe to China, fostering an explosion of trade and cultural exchange. Gunpowder, the compass, and printing technology flowed from east to west, while scientific knowledge, art, and religion traveled in the opposite direction. This was a true age of globalization, centuries before the term was even invented. The Mongols established a highly efficient postal system, known as the Yam, which allowed messengers and officials to travel quickly across the vast empire, further knitting together its disparate parts. They were surprisingly tolerant of different religions, allowing Christians, Muslims, and Buddhists to practice their faiths freely, as long as they obeyed Mongol law. This pragmatism helped them govern their diverse and multicultural empire. However, the very size and diversity of the empire also contained the seeds of its own destruction. But no empire lasts forever. The immense Mongol Empire began to fracture under its own weight. After the death of Monkey Khan in 1259, a civil war erupted among Genghis's descendants. The empire split into 4 successor states, or Khanates: the Yuan dynasty in China, the Golden Horde in Russia, the Chagatai Khanate in Central Asia, and the Ilkhanate in Persia. While technically still part of one empire, these Khanates grew increasingly independent, often fighting amongst themselves. The rulers of these new states began to adopt the cultures of the people they ruled. In Persia, the Mongol Ilkhans converted to Islam and became patrons of Persian art and architecture. In China, Kublai Khan's successors struggled to balance their Mongol identity with the traditions of Chinese imperial rule. Administrative challenges mounted. Governing such vast territories was a monumental task, and the Mongols, a nomadic people, often lacked the experience for settled administration. Internal strife, corruption, and rebellions weakened their hold. The Black Death, which may have spread along the Mongol trade routes, devastated populations across Eurasia, further destabilizing the Khanates. By the late 14th century, the Great Mongol Empire had dissolved. The Yuan dynasty was overthrown by the native Chinese Ming dynasty in 1368. The Golden Horde fragmented, and the other Khanates slowly faded into history. The Mongol Empire may have fallen, but its legacy is woven into the fabric of our modern world. The Mongols forever changed the political map of Eurasia, destroying old kingdoms and creating the conditions for new ones to rise, including the emergence of a unified Russia. Their brutal conquests caused immense destruction, but the Pax Mongolica they created spurred an unprecedented era of contact between East and West, accelerating technological and cultural diffusion that helped set the stage for the European Renaissance. They connected the world in a way it had never been before, demonstrating that even the most distant cultures could be linked by trade, ideas, and ambition. The story of the Mongol Empire is a powerful reminder of how a small group of people, under a visionary leader, can change the course of history. It's a tale of both terrifying destruction and incredible creation, a legacy that continues to shape our world today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories from our incredible past.